Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. Welcome to a special late night session. I'm celebrating because Bitcoin has surpassed 28,000 once again. So this is the second time within just 3 days. Just 3 days. So I'm celebrating. Hopefully you guys are too. And I wanted to have a stream with you guys and just talk about what's going on with Bitcoin. I don't specifically have any big pieces of news to cover. I do have a few things, but I want to go over what's going on with Bitcoin. Why is it moving? Where is it going? What's the next move? And overall have a good lively stream with you guys. I haven't had a night stream for quite a while. So I got a couple of beers with me. Hopefully you guys have drinks with you too. So let's get started. Let's talk about Bitcoin, of course, and see where it's going. Before I do, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Smash up the thumbs up. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new. I normally have these streams at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, but I'm having it close to 11 p.m. Central Standard Time because, you know what? Why not? Why not, right? All right, so Bitcoin is at 28,070. It went up as high as 28,000. What is it? 185. I better share my screen before I forget. So this is what it's looking like right now. Let's bring this down a little bit. So it's 28,048. You know, pretty substantial rise today. You know, this morning Bitcoin was a little bit down. You know, I was streaming talking about, hey, you know what? I think 30,000 is right around the corner. I think we're going to see it at the end of this week, possibly Friday, Saturday, Sunday, going to this weekend. But you know what? With the momentum that built up tonight, we could see it as soon as tomorrow. These things are getting wild once again. So as you can see, within the last few hours, Bitcoin kind of like started slowly rising up, kind of hovered in the middle a little bit. You could see kind of like a small little wedge here. If I drew lines, it would be a small little wedge, and boom, a big breakout from 29.6, about 27,000, all the way to 27,700, and then it went up to 28,200, and it came back down a little bit, and now it's teetering around 28,000, right? So it might go down a little bit, but I do think the overall momentum is there. And just this morning, I showed you guys how, you know what, if you zoom out a little bit, if you just zoom out, sometimes I think we get stuck in the moment, but if you zoom out a little bit, you look at some of these previous resistances that Bitcoin was not able to surpass. Well, look at this one. The one, I know there's a lot of lines here, but the one over here that was the biggest one, 19.5. Okay, remember, Bitcoin just could not surpass 19.5 for the longest time. It took almost 22 days, almost, you know, a full 3 weeks before Bitcoin surpassed it. Once it did, it started moving real quick. And then, 24.2 was the next one, and it took 7 days and 16 hours. So less than 8 days, right? Before it shattered through. And this morning, I'm like, okay, for those of you guys that's a little antsy, you know, you're wondering what's going on, a subtle reminder that we just touched upon 17.2. I would love to buy some Bitcoin at 17.2. We just touched upon 27.2 only 2 days ago. This morning, it was like 2 days and 12 hours, but now it's 2 days and 16 hours. So we broke above 27.2. Right, and touched them on 28. That's the first time. That was less than 3 days ago. Think about that. So this is the second time that Bitcoin has hit 28,000 within 3 days. 3 days. So as you can see, the trend is that Bitcoin stops at a certain point and then it moves further, right? But that time frame keeps decreasing and decreasing and decreasing and decreasing. So, you know what? We're well above 27.2. I do think it's looking like we can hold. We could definitely hold above 27.2. So even if I end the stream, even tonight, we don't stay at 28,000, but there's a good chance we do. Even if we don't, if we could stay above 27.2, that would be fantastic because that would mean we have turned this small little resistance now into a support. And that's where we bounce off of there. We start heading up towards $30,000. And I drew a line at 29,951. I don't know why that's not $30,000, but it should be 30,000. So that is right around the corner. So I'm feeling excited. I don't know about you guys. Bitcoin recently has just been a gift that just keeps on giving, right? In a good way. And I'm not talking about STD. I'm talking about a gift that keeps on giving for the past few months, especially the past few weeks. And then if you look at what has happened, transpired within the last week, has been pretty amazing. Pretty amazing for those of you guys that have been in it for a while, been holding, have been accumulating. And you know what? It's looking pretty good, and it's looking like it's going to get much better than even now, right? So very, very good stuff. All right, so that's kind of like a recap of what I talked about this morning, what it's looking like right now. Now, what about short term? Short term, what do I see? Well, there's a couple things I see that is mostly good, but some is temporary stopgaps. So right now you can see that Bitcoin fell down from when I started streaming at 28.1 down to 27.8, right? So these like few $100 increments, they no longer matter. They're like less than 1%. So it doesn't really matter when you see that. But if you're looking at some of the smaller time frames, like 5 minute has been pretty bullish recently. You can see every time stochastic tops out and comes down, right? It comes down only a little bit, but then boom, it goes up a lot when the 5 minute starts over again. So right now, that's how you could tell this is pretty bullish, because whenever the 5 minute tops out and comes down, very little effect. And then there's a huge effect afterwards. So right now it's looking pretty good. But let's go out a little bit further. 15 minutes, what am I seeing? Well, 15 minutes, kind of the same thing. 15 minutes was a little bit high, to be honest, right? But again, you could see like this last period where stochastic and RSI both were pretty high. And then it came down a little bit, just slightly, before a big rise up again, right? So that is what it's looking like. Now, this candlestick's a little bit further, so we'll see if this recovers. But overall, like I said, if we can hover above 27.2 and make this the resistance and just hold above here, okay, just hold above here, that would be a tremendous thing. But let's keep going. What about the 1 hour, right? 1 hour does look like it wants to come down, right? It is very, very high up, but you could see this was a tremendous move. Bitcoin was hovering sideways for a little bit, and you can see RSI was really not moving, even though stochastic was going up and down, but RSI wasn't really moving. But you could see a lot of buying pressure that caused this to happen, right? So what's really good is after this, I was looking at the 4 hour, and the 4 hour you could definitely see is on its way up, right? So by the time the 4 hour maxes out, that's where I think Bitcoin will be at 30,000. So short term, moving into tomorrow, maybe not tomorrow morning, but moving into tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, if we continue to see this momentum push Bitcoin upwards, I think we have a realistic chance of hitting 30,000 by tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, but hey, if we're off a day or so what? If it takes until Friday or Saturday, I don't think anyone's going to complain. We're definitely moving once again, and this is very, very, very positive. Think about that, 28,000 within 3 days. And just think about the fact that we're even at 28,000, all right? The gravity of it. I made a point about this a few days ago, I think last week. As Bitcoin nears 30,000, just think about the gravity of $30,000 per Bitcoin. It's heavy. It's heavy, man. It's really heavy, right? $30,000 for a single Bitcoin. Now, how many of you guys wish that you could have bought more at 10,000 or even 15,000 or even 20,000? Remember, I was saying this when we were stuck below 19.5 for the longest time. I'm like, remember this, because in the future, even at 20,000, Bitcoin is going to seem cheap, right? And look at where it is now. Bitcoin is at 28,000, nearing $30,000. to even buy Bitcoin at 20,000 would be damn cheap, right? So hopefully you guys have been hodling and accumulating, because it's heavy, it's expensive, and it's gonna get more expensive from here on out. So be prepared for this ride. All right, so that's what I'm seeing short term. So yeah, we're a little bit below 28,000, but like I said, as long as we hold above 27.2, which is our recent resistance, if we can turn that into support within 3 days, that's amazing. And that means 30,000 is right around the corner, and that's looking like that's coming right away. All right. So besides me just rambling on, there's a few articles I pulled up that I can talk about a little bit. Those of you guys that tuned in and was chatting with me beforehand, before the stream started, I was just like, hey, I want to look up XRP, right? I just want to see how many videos there are. And you would not believe how many videos there are about XRP, but then you won't believe, if you look in them, there are so many channels that are even bigger than mine that only focus on XRP. Every single day, there's one or multiple videos about XRP. I don't even know how you can even generate that many interesting stories. It's just amazing. Wow, that 2,500 CLP, that seems like a huge amount, but I don't know what CLP currency is. 30K for BTC is like $25 per ounce of gold, so it's still very cheap. Yes, I like that comparison. Yes, it's still very cheap. Thank you for that super chat. I don't know if CLP equals dollars. If it is, I like to thank you, and I'm going to put that into Bitcoin, but I don't know what it comes to. But anyways, there is a new site. You know how I've been showing you guys Acid Dash? There is actually a new site that's even better than Acid Dash. I don't know why Brave actually has been pretty slow for me recently. I don't know if you guys experience that, if you guys use Brave. But if you look at Bitcoin right now, it's well above Visa. It's at 11, right? And it's about tomorrow when we wake up, Bitcoin could be bigger than Berkshire Hathaway, right? So we should all just laugh at Warren Buffett, who said that Bitcoin was rat poison squared, which doesn't really make any sense. And basically, Bitcoin's going to zero, right? Pretty soon, maybe as soon as tomorrow, Bitcoin will be worth more than Berkshire Hathaway. So think about that for a second. Think about the fact that Bitcoin is worth more than Visa, okay? It's worth more than Walmart. It's worth more than JP Morgan Chase. It's worth more than MasterCard, Walt Disney World, Home Depot, PayPal, Toyota, right? This is how big Bitcoin is already, but it's going to be a lot bigger, and it's going to climb this chart slowly, one after another, until it reaches number one. But what doesn't show up here is, I forgot the website. It's like called Companies. Yeah, Companies Market Cap, I think. So someone introduced this to me, if it pulls up here. And this you can actually insert like gold and silver, which is kind of interesting to look at. So you rank by categories, all assets by market cap. Here we go. So this is a better version. It's called companiesmarketcap.com. And you can see gold is worth $12 trillion. I thought gold was 9, but I guess it's been going up a little bit. So gold is worth $12 trillion. Silver, interesting, 1.4, a little bit under $1.5 trillion. Right? And there's another company, Saudi Aramco, that wasn't on Acid Dash. And there's a few other things. But because of the additions, Bitcoin is now sitting at number 13. Still a little bit behind RN. Appreciate that. A little bit behind Berkshire Hathaway, right? But still, it's climbing. Can Bitcoin catch up to silver? Most certainly. It just needs to triple from here. So what does that mean? Bitcoin needs to be at $75,000 to surpass silver in market cap. That could definitely happen. And even if that happens, right? I think a lot of people still don't believe that we can go much higher, but just for a second, think about when Bitcoin surpasses silver, how big of an accomplishment that is already. I mean, it's a huge accomplishment already, being worth $500 billion, being close to $28,000 or $30,000. But think about when it actually hits $75,000 and it is now commanding 1.5 trillion in market cap, and it is worth more than all silver in the entire world, and that includes all the paper silver too. That's huge. That's huge. And it would also put Bitcoin above Alphabet, Google, and Facebook, and Tesla. So, you know how I've been saying I'm waiting for Tesla to buy Bitcoin with reserve currency? You know what? When Bitcoin's bigger than Tesla, do we really need that? No, not really. Not really. It would only help Tesla stock at that point. But, you know, the main goal is not to just be bigger than silver, but is to be bigger than all these companies and one day reach the same size of gold, which is 12 trillion in market cap. And think about that. To go from 500 billion to 12 trillion, that's a lot of room to grow. That's a lot of room to grow. So can Bitcoin hit 200, 300, 400, 500 million dollars someday? You know what? It's digital gold. It's a better version of gold. So why not? Why not? And yeah, I'm looking forward to that day. I'm really looking forward to it. All right. It's interesting up here too. You can see total market cap around $80 trillion. $80 trillion. Of course, this doesn't include things like real estate. So if you add real estate in there, I heard overall market cap of all things that we hold dear is about $100 trillion. So we'll see. What about XRP? Well, maybe if XRP hits $589, but that's looking more and more unlikely as the days go by. But if you calculate $589 just for fun, what's $589 times 100 billion? What is that? 100 billion, 100 million, 100, 1, 2, 3. That would give it a 59 trillion market cap. I think I did it right. So I don't think that's very likely. Let's just put it that way. That would make XRP worth 5 times the amount of gold. I don't think that's very likely. Eduardo, prediction for LTC. I'll get to that in remind me when we get to Q&A. But I do think Litecoin, you know, seeing how there's gold and silver, I do think Litecoin is going to be digital silver, right? Because Litecoin doesn't compete with Ethereum or Cardano or Tezos or any of these other guys. They're all protocol coins. Litecoin is a store of value too, like Bitcoin. It'll never surpass Bitcoin, but it can become a digital silver. It can be a digital silver. So, but you can see the gap between gold and silver is quite vast, right? And it's just going to be the same thing between Bitcoin and Bitcoin and Litecoin. But I'll get to that in a little bit. So, what are some of the stuff I got off track, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that. New York Times alleged, this is not, you know, this is bad timing, right? When Coinbase is trying to IPO. New York Times reports that there's a history of pay discrimination at Coinbase. I don't know if this is a surprise or not. We hear about this all the time, right? Certain color or certain sex will get paid less than others. So according to the survey, I don't know how they got this, if someone in HR leaked this, or they're just doing a little bit digging. I don't know how they got this, but anyways, according to this, black employees were paid roughly 7% less than people in similar less than people in similar positions, and also women were paid 20% less than male counterparts. 20%. That's huge. That's huge. But yeah, so I don't know where they got this. I don't know if HR leaked it or they're just spreading FUD or whatever, but this could not come at a worse time for Coinbase. Right when they're trying to do IPO, right? So now they have to fight this. I don't know if it's true or not, but we hear about this all the time. So we'll see. We'll see how it is. Grandpa Crypto, again, thank you for that. Kuzama and Dot. Well, Polkadot I'll get to. I know I'm familiar with Polkadot. I don't know about this Kuzma. Not Kuzma, not from the Lakers Kuzma, but yeah. I don't know why all these are hidden, by the way. Kuzama. I don't know what Kuzama is, but I'll look it up. Anyways, another company that is looking to IPO is actually eToro. eToro has been around for a while, and they do a lot of advertisements, and they're exchange, but they're beyond exchange. They also want to IPO right now. I think literally every single exchange within the US wants to IPO. Like, this is the perfect time for it. The absolute perfect time to IPO. So, of course, you have Coinbase, now eToro. I'm sure Gemini is right around the corner, and probably Kraken and probably Bittrex. I don't know if Kraken and Bittrex are big enough to warrant IPO, but you got to think, as Bitcoin and crypto gets hotter and hotter and hotter in 2021, they want to take advantage, right? Of course, you want to IPO and basically raise as much money as you can, right? So it just makes a whole lot of sense. It makes a whole lot of sense. All right, a lot of stories, a lot of people talking about Panthers, Russell Okung becoming the first player to be paid in Bitcoin. But clarification on this, the Panthers are not paying him in Bitcoin. He is actually using another service, which happens to be his friend. I believe it's called Strike. Basically, Strike will take your paycheck and convert it to Bitcoin. So the Panthers are still paying him in cash, but then he's taking that cash and he's converting to Bitcoin, right? So that is still a positive thing. But just to be clear, the Panthers themselves are not buying Bitcoin to pay him. So that's the thing. But every news outlet is talking about how he's going to be paid in Bitcoin, but that is actually not true. He's going to be paid in regular cash, but he is going to be using half his cash to be buying Bitcoin. So that's still a win for Bitcoin. What else is there? I saw this. Not a lot of people was talking about it because of what happened this weekend. The futures gap, the CME futures gap, was so large they had to halt Bitcoin futures because they didn't know what to do. The gap was actually over 12%. Remember this weekend when Bitcoin jumped up tremendously, right? So that gap is just enormous. Now, the article doesn't say if they stopped futures altogether or it was just a temporary stop, but it's kind of interesting that they had to because this is the problem when you have futures, right? I will. Jesus, I said I will check these things during Q&A. But yeah, these are the things that doesn't happen with crypto. Crypto is 24/7, but when you have traditional futures or options or anything that is I guess within Wall Street, within traditional market, you have to wait, right? So I don't know what's gonna come from this. But anyways. I can't say this guy's name. Anthony Scaramucci, Skybridge. They recently made headlines saying that they're going to create a new fund, put $25 million, and raise more debt or raise investors' funds to put into it. But it's been revealed that this firm, Skybridge, already invested $182 million into Bitcoin already, right? So this is the stuff that you just don't hear about unless they reveal it, right? You know, when MassMutual did it, obviously MicroStrategy did it, Square did it. A lot of people are being very open, but a lot of people are not being open, right? All this buying is happening behind the scenes, and all these companies are buying hundreds of millions to billions of Bitcoins behind the scene, right? This is why Bitcoin keeps going up, why institutional FOMO keeps increasing. It's not going to stop. And what's funny is these guys, I guess it's not funny, but these guys plan on holding for years upon years. So some people have already asked me about taking profits, right? So should you take profits? What about this next bull run when it ends in 2021, when Bitcoin's at 300,000? Is it going to come down? Should you take profits? Well, the thing is, what if it doesn't come down? Because all these institutions are buying for long haul. They're buying for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So if they're not selling, who's to say that Bitcoin maybe just stays up, doesn't come down, doesn't crash down 85% like all previous cycles, right? So if that's the case, you got to think about it. This has to be the last chance that you'll have to buy cheap Bitcoins. Because if Bitcoin goes up to $300,000 and it does no longer crashes down 85%, then it just stays up 300,000 forever, and it just goes up and up and up from there, and then it'll surpass gold in market cap someday. But think about it. So buying now, even at $30,000, it's gonna be the last chance you could get cheap Bitcoins. It's gonna be cheap compared to 300,000 in the future, right? So think about that. And I'm not saying that's a certainty, but you got to think all this money, coming from institutional investors. What they do traditionally, especially if you look at their gold holdings, they hold it for decades. They don't sell their gold. They hold it for decades. What's to say they won't do the same thing with Bitcoin? If all these guys with their hundreds of millions and billions of Bitcoins, they hold it for decades, think about it. There's not that much that's going to be sold, right? So after Bitcoin goes up to 300,000, it could just stay there. It could just stay there forever. It may never come down again. So just ponder that. Tony, welcome. Think about the time we chatted with Tone Vase. Yeah, we got wasted. I got wasted. That bill at that bar was like $1,500. Wondering what he was thinking now. I don't know. I haven't checked him out for a while. He was the biggest bear for a while. Kept talking about hyperwave to $1,500. I wonder if he still thinks that. No, I'm kidding. I know he doesn't think that. I think after we surpassed 10,000, he stopped being bearish. I don't want to pick on the guy, but still, that was a good time. The blockchain Chicago like 2 years ago. I don't know if they had another one last year or this year. Probably not for this year, but anyways, I'd love to meet some guys someday again once this pandemic settles down. New York approves its first publicly available Japanese yen stablecoin. That's interesting. The New York State Department of Financial Services, the BIT license regulator, has authorized GMO to issue US dollar and Japanese yen pegged stablecoins. So soon you'll have stablecoins that's not just pegged to the US dollar, that's pegged to Japanese yen. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it for all the articles. So many people asked me about this other Kuzmama or whatever coin it is. So let's check it out. And I have to check out Litecoin. I did not forget. I did not want to log in. God, I hate CoinMarketCap. It's like right when you're about to click search, this thing pops up. I can't stand it. I need to use something else. All right, Kuzama. Well, it's already 534 million market cap, so it's not a small cap. It is on Binance. It's actually trading on all these ones. ZBG, DSDAQ, BIKI. I've never heard of any of these exchanges. Anyways, let's see what they're all about. Okay, no, that's what I want to do. I'm guessing that they're a Japanese company, or they're made to look like it. Unprecedented interoperability and scalability for blockchain developers who want to quickly push the limits of what's possible, built on Substrate with nearly the same code base and industry-leading multi-chain infrastructure as Kuzma's cousin Polkadot. Okay. Scalable network of stabilized blockchain built on using Substrate and near the same code base as Polkadot. The network is experimental development. Okay. Who wants to move fast? Okay. So it was also founded by Gavin Wood, right? Who is the founder of Polkadot. I mean, I can't. Everything it talks about is it's built on the same code base and same teams as Polkadot. But what makes it different than Polkadot? That's the thing. Kuzma sharding blockchains and open governance provide a scalable and future-proof infrastructure for businesses, marketplace applications, and deploy mature. Brings multiple blockchains together into one sharded network, freeing developers from silos created by legacy blockchain networks. They can build with Substrate. They can build their own app-specific blockchain and connect it to Kusama. I mean, from a marketing perspective, I'm just going to say it. From a marketing perspective, this is horrible. Everything in here is just talking about how it's built on Substrate, it's the same code base as Polkadot, and it's built by the same team as Polkadot. But why is it different? How is it different from Polkadot then? And why did Gavin Wood create both Polkadot and Kusama at the same time? So from a marketing perspective, this has to be the worst thing ever. But let's do this. Let's rely on Google and do some more research. Comparing the cousins. Let's see who wrote this. Is it Polkadot wrote this or Kusama wrote this? John, appreciate that. All right, they are independent standalone networks built on very similar code bases, but Kusama has faster governance parameters and lower barriers to entry. While Kusama is wild and fast, Polkadot is more conservative, prioritizing stability and dependability with slower, more methodical governance and upgrade processes. Kusama is great for bold experimentation and early stage development. Polkadot is designed for stable execution of risk-averse, high-app value. It almost seems like Kusama is a test network for Polkadot. Like if you want to deploy something really quickly without caring so much about governance and stability, you go deploy on Kusama. I mean, that's what it sounds like. Offers an early adventurous version of Polkadot to allow teams and developers to build parachains and deploy applications in an environment with economic incentives that will mirror those on Polkadot. Okay, yes. Oh, wait. Okay, there's a lot more to it. But to summarize, it seems like Kusama and Polkadot basically the same code base, but one is built for you to deploy and test with, and one is built for high-value applications, one that cares more about governance and stability. So one seems like a test bed, one seems like it's not a test bed. But you know, I'll say it's a plus. And the reason why I say that is because I'm familiar with Polkadot. It's a very good blockchain. It's also created by Gavin Wood, which is one of the co-founders of Ethereum, right? He has a large following. A lot of people like, a lot of Ethereum guys like Polkadot, and they're looking at Polkadot. And also Polkadot is connected. They have parachains, so they can scale. They also care about interoperability. They care about governance. So Polkadot is basically, it's almost like, I almost think of it as Cardano when Cardano's finished. It seems like Polkadot is already finished for the most part. There's still some stuff they're working on. So based on that fact, and based on the fact that Kusama and Polkadot is pretty much identical, except a few little things that I can't really get to right now, but it seems like a winner. And plus, it is on Binance, which I trust, and some of the other bigger exchanges like Huobi and also OKX, but some of these other ones I've never heard of before, so I don't know where they are. And plus the fact that it's a 500 million market cap means it's not experimental. It's already a mid cap. It's not a small cap, which means people are paying attention to it, which also means that's good. That's good. It's less likely for it to just fall down into an ultra small cap. So from that perspective, is also good. All right. So hopefully that answered that. A lot of people is talking about XRP still. Someone asked me about Litecoin. So I did do a video about Litecoin recently. Basically, the best way to think about it is this, okay? Litecoin is a fork of Bitcoin. It's a copy of Bitcoin. supposedly made better by Charlie Lee, and I use air quotes because supposedly better does not mean it is better. There's 4 times the supply, and it's 4 times as fast. But ultimately, since it is a copy of Bitcoin, it is a store of value. There is a set supply, there's a set limit, there's a halving event just like Bitcoin. So overall, Litecoin is meant to be deflationary, just like Bitcoin. So I view Litecoin as basically a digital silver. So if you look at Bitcoin as a digital gold, Litecoin is a digital silver. So going forward, as Bitcoin climbs up higher and higher and higher and higher, I do expect Litecoin to also catch up. Not in the same way, but it will go up. And that's because I think companies will also view it, institutional investors and retail investors will view it as a cheaper form of Bitcoin, right? Especially if you go on exchanges. There's a lot of exchanges out there, and almost all of them that have Bitcoin also have Litecoin. So that's also a big plus for Litecoin, because when people are trying to buy Bitcoin, say on PayPal or on Coinbase or wherever, they're looking at it, they're like, oh man, Bitcoin's at $30,000, but Litecoin is at 130. So let me go buy 10 Litecoin instead of 0.01 Bitcoin, something like that, right? Unfortunately, I think that's going to happen too among retail investors. So I think that also helps Litecoin in a way. Ethereum is not like digital oil. It's not. Do I see Litecoin going to $1,000? That would be 10x, less than 10x, 8x from here. I could see that happening. I mean, it was at $300, back in 2017. So I could see that happening, but I would say Bitcoin is well above $200,000 before that happens. So, yeah. George, I like that name. VeChain had 2 cents. What are your thoughts? You guys know I like VeChain. I've always liked VeChain. They're gonna do big things. But let's bring up their chart just for the hell of it. Let's take a look. Which one did I use before? Probably this one. Litecoin hit 420. Wow, I thought it was 300. If it hit 420, that's amazing. So yeah, it has a chance to get 1,000, but you gotta wait because Bitcoin has to go much higher before that happens. Okay, but anyways, let's look at VeChain here. So I drew these lines out before. These are support lines. These are the resistances. Actually, the colors should be reversed. However, it's very positive that you could see that this first support around 2 cents, right? VeChain broke above it, which is good. But the one that it has not been able to break for a long time, since August of 2019. And in fact, in August 2019, it didn't even break it. But this is the ultimate one that it needs to break. And it's not too far away, about 2.5 cents, 0.026. And if it breaks through that, that would be a pretty bullish signal, because it has not been able to break that for a long time. Right, so if it breaks through that, I would say that is a very, very bullish signal. But with that said, like Bitcoin, VeChain is so big in China, is so intertwined with all the biggest companies out there in China. It's just a matter of time that VeChain goes up and becomes a top 10 coin and possibly becomes a top 5 coin because of how integrated they are. They're already working. They already have everything done. They're not a work in progress. They have partnered up with some of the biggest companies out there on earth. So they're going to be in a very good spot. You gotta wait until China comes out with their master plan on how to move everything into crypto. Dogecoin used to be a coin that has nothing going for it, except now it has the biggest cheerleader, Elon Musk. Elon Musk, just out of the blue, just keeps talking about Dogecoin. And who knows? He's been talking about how on Mars, it's for sure everything will be conducted with the cryptocurrency. It's not going to be fiat cash. That would just be so silly. So he already said it's going to be cryptocurrency. And seeing how he loves Dogecoin, imagine if he declares one day Dogecoin will be the official currency of Mars. That would cause Dogecoin to skyrocket. But I think Bitcoin is a better target, but who knows? Who knows? He might just do it for fun, but he doesn't realize the actions of his consequence of his actions, because if he does say that, Dogecoin will probably skyrocket. But yeah, Dogecoin has a use now. Basically, it could be used in space on Mars. What about Ripple? Well, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, there's enough channels out there. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, I cannot believe how many channels are dedicated solely on spreading the good word about XRP daily. I mean, there's just so much you could talk about, right? But the biggest thing you have to talk about is this fall from 60, no, not even 60, from 70 cents down to where it is now, 19 cents. When I came out in my video yesterday about basically being delisted or trading halted, and all these XRP fanboys like, no, they're not being delisted, they're being, they're just being halted. I'm like, really? You go argue about that? As if halted trading is better than being delisted? As if all the major exchanges halting trading is really a no story for XRP? No, it's a story. And the SEC lawsuit is a story, which is why XRP is doing this. So I said, if you look at the low of 2020, back in March, you zoom in a little bit, you can see that, it hit like 11 cents. Right? This was a flash crash, obviously. It stabilized around 13, 14 cents, but it flash crashed down to 11 cents. This is not over. Regardless of what any of the XRP army channels are saying about like, hurry up and buy the dip because it's going to go right back up, right? What's happening right now is, yes, there's a small bounce, like a dead cat bounce, and then what happens afterwards, it goes lower. Right? So you can see since yesterday, yeah, another small bounce, and guess what's going to happen? It's going to go lower, and it's going to go lower. Now, can it be a good buy? Well, possibly. Possibly, because if it does climb, let's go back. Where's that 11 cent mark? Yeah. If it falls to 11 cents, which would be the low of 2020, and basically the low for the last 3 years, right? That could be a good buy. But right now, I would not touch it. There's just still too much uncertainty. It could definitely go lower. Even if the technicals doesn't warrant it, the whales are going to take advantage. They're going to cause it to go down more. Because the whales are looking for things that they can manipulate right now, and it's really hard for them to manipulate Bitcoin. So they will probably go after XRP because of all the weakness and uncertainty that's going around. So I would not touch XRP. Now, if it goes to 11 cents, then maybe. But right now, still too high. That's my honest opinion about it. Look at that. Alan. Lucky Whale, I just got done saying it about Polkadot. I think it's a good project. It's a good blockchain led by a good leader, good support. And overall, I think Polkadot is a good one. It's a good one. What coins are best for long term? Bitcoin, 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 and maybe Litecoin. Long term. If you want to hold something for 5, 10 years, yeah, you want to go with store values. I wouldn't stay away from Stellar. So after the SEC lawsuit against Ripple, people started asking me about, well, what about Stellar? What about Chainlink? So I looked it up. Both Stellar and Chainlink had ICOs. They were small. They were very, very small. They were very small ICOs, but they did have them. Stellar raised about like $30 million and Chainlink raised about the same. So the SEC could go after them too. Now, in both, Stellar's case is a little bit different because it was founded by Jed McCaleb, who also founded Ripple. So that one may be a little bit more confusing. But overall, I think both of those will be settled, just like EOS and Tezos. It'll take a few years. They'll settle it, pay a small fee, and get over it. But in Ripple's case, just a little bit more difficult because Ripple has been out longer, and Brad and Chris Larson both are indicted too. So it's just a little bit different scenario with Ripple versus all these other companies. So to answer your question, I would stay away from Stellar right now because if the SEC announces that pretty soon, it'll probably cause a dip. So you probably want to wait it out. Shin Bones. I just actually got done with the third segment of nulls. For the last 2 Mondays, I did a segment of nulls. Now, I was a little disappointed because I did a segment this Monday, and I did screw up because I didn't have my screen showing. I was just showing my face. But overall, I think I did a pretty good job explaining things, and I got some feedback saying that nulls community didn't like it and this and that, and I was a little disappointed by that. So I'm probably going to do a redo of that next Monday and just kind of talk about their new staking mechanism and some of the partnerships. But overall, I thought I did a pretty good job explaining nulls over the weeks. Been supporting nulls for quite a long time, but basically right now what's happening is it's not moving. I mean, honestly, it's not moving because it's too low. It's an ultra small cap. No one's really paying attention to it. So we just had to wait until full-blown altcoin season before it really comes back up. That's what's going to happen with a lot of altcoins. So I do anticipate the latter half of 2021, possibly when Bitcoin is above 200,000 already, it's going to slow down, right? And a lot of that money is going to flow out, possibly into altcoins. And then you're going to see that huge, tremendous altcoin season that we saw in the latter half of 2017. And then we're going to see a lot of altcoins, the ones that we know of, come right back up. And a lot of new ones we don't know of probably come right back up too. I heard Grayscale sold all of their XRP today. Maybe low roller. I have to check it. Marsha, I appreciate that. I thought I did good, but I got some feedback and I didn't like what I was hearing, so I don't know. Wow. God is good said I sold XRP at 374. Wow, well, you timed it pretty good, my friend. You timed it pretty good. That's about as perfect as you can get. I doubt it, Michael. I doubt that's going to happen. I doubt they're going to replace XRP Trust and Link Trust. You think Ncash going back up? I don't think Ncash is coming up. I think it's one of those dead projects, especially since it's based in India. Now, I think Ncash's biggest problem was that they concentrated on India. I know that they're an Indian company, but had they concentrated their system, they had a really ingenious system for retailers to collect their data and push information and ads and specials to them and stuff. Had they just started outside India, just started any other country, then they would have been fine. But because the Indian crackdown, that just like absolutely devastated them. So I don't know if they could ever come back from that, to be honest. I don't know if Tim Draper, who's an investor, if he gave up on them, if he cut ties. If he didn't, maybe he could try to push them back up again. But I just think it's going to be hard for them. Quarter crawler. No, you don't. No, you don't. Binance Coin. Binance Coin caught me off guard. Binance Coin has always been a really good buy, right? It made all-time high earlier this year, but then it was like kind of stagnant. But then I checked it recently. I'm like, wow, BNB has really shot up. Let me see if I can bring up. Let's bring up this. So you could see this. I mean, that's a pretty good move. From March, from its bottom, it went as low as $6.30, and now it's at $37, almost $38. So this growth is phenomenal. It's phenomenal, and that is why they're in the top 10 and number 9, and they're worth $5 billion. Binance Coin, the best way to think about Binance Coin is basically it's a stock of Binance, right? And I know that they have their Binance chain and so forth and all this stuff, but honestly, the best way to look at BNB is it's a stock of Binance. How Coinbase is trying to IPO so they could sell their Coinbase shares. But honestly, Binance doesn't need to do that because they already have BNB. CZ was smart enough to come out of the BNB coin right away, right? When no other exchange was thinking about it. He did it. He proved that it works, and others followed. Everyone else followed, came out their own coin. But BNB, I think it's a good hold because Binance is not going to go away anytime soon. And that, they're only getting stronger. So BNB has moved quite a bit. It moved below most people's radars. And honestly, I haven't looked at them for a while, and I looked at them like, wow, they have really climbed up. And no one, like all these streams, no one asked me about BNB. No one asked about Binance Coin. Just like no one asked about TRX anymore. I used to have so many people ask me about Tron. What's going on with Justin? What's going on with Tron? I hear 0 people ask me about Tron these days. I honestly don't know what they're doing. I hear Sun Network is not doing very good. Their Wink, which is like a gambling platform or gaming platform, is not doing good. A lot of these things, I don't know. Steam, I don't think Steam is doing pretty good. I mean, all these things that Justin is trying to work on has not been doing well. So let's look at Steam. I know Steam, most Steam people went to Hive, but Steam is at 62 million, so it hasn't really been moving. I swear the search thing is gonna kill me. All right, what else is there? Like Wink, he was like all in on Wink before too. Wink is at 18 million. That's not so good. What about Sun Network, which is supposed to be like a scaling solution for Tron? $27 million. That's not so good. Let's look at BitTorrent. BitTorrent should still be relatively good. 280 million. That's not bad, but overall they have not been moving at all. So that's not so good either. And what's funny is BitTorrent, and I said this before too. So you look at the price, right? That's the green line, the price per BTT token. But then look at the market cap. Why did the market cap shoot up like this? That means they released a whole bunch of tokens. Because if the price of the token doesn't go up, so that means you basically made no money from the token at all by holding all this time. But if the market cap shoots up like that, that means they just diluted. They just threw out a whole bunch of tokens out there. That's why the market cap went up. So I guess the only reason why market cap is so high is because they just released so many tokens. It's not from BTT token actually moving. So Again, I know no one asked me about Tron, but I just thought I'd bring that up because I have not heard anyone ask me about Tron for at least 6 months now. Tezos. I mean, it's not just Tezos. A lot of these companies have been very stagnant, and that's because Bitcoin is just destroying everyone right now. David, thank you for that. All in Tron should be in VET, ADA, ZIL, DOT. I'm sorry to hear that. If you have all your money in Tron, I mean, you pretty much have been suffering this whole time. But yeah, I know Zilliqa has been very, very hot, but, and same thing with Theta, but Zilliqa, I mean, as far as I could see, there's really nothing that explains why it should be this hot at this time. So that worries me, right? When something moves up so fast and there's really nothing that really explains it, that scares me. And same thing with Theta. They're both decent projects, but I got off the I got off the Zilliqa bandwagon long ago when the founders left. So I guess it's good that they're moving up. Theta, on the other hand, is doing very good. They have a lot of contract with Japanese, broadcasting companies. You know, they actually have, I don't know if it's Japanese or Korean. I don't know. It could be Japanese, but I know there's like live channels now running on Theta and stuff. So they're actually doing really good. Of course, they have their Sliver.tv. They have their gaming platform. So Theta's doing really good, but kind of unexpectedly that they jumped so much recently too. So kind of worries me there. A little worrisome. Someone was asking about Neo. I once bought at 160. I'll sell it to you if you want. Neo is one of those projects too that no one really asks about anymore because everyone's just waiting for Neo 3.0. But hey, it's still holding at 1 billion, so that's not too bad. They're still above Aave and Uniswap. And I'm really surprised about Aave and Uniswap, both of them too, that they haven't gotten any stronger recently. These are two DeFi projects I really like, but Uniswap, kind of died down. DeFi kind of died down because Bitcoin has been so strong. Aave, I honestly thought they would pump up more because whenever things move so fast, people like to leverage. And that's what all Aave is really all about, is putting down collateral and taking out a loan with essentially leveraging. So I thought they would do better, but kind of surprised they haven't. They haven't done better. All right, I said a lot there, so I'll let you guys go. Unfortunately, we're not ending the stream at 30,000 or 28,000, but no worries, no worries. Bitcoin, I do believe, can be seen 28,000 or 30,000 tomorrow. More likely 28,000, but I don't know about 30,000. But the 4 hours looking good. Definitely more room to grow. But overall, these indicators, short-term indicators, these charts, they're basically, they work until they don't. What you really need to worry about and concentrate on is the money behind the scenes, right? The big money, the institutional money that keeps flowing in and in and in and in. That ultimately is what's driving Bitcoin up and will drive it much higher than where it is now. So pay attention to that. Anyways, that is it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I know it's a long stream, so normally my night streams are longer. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. So smash up the likes, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and hit that notification bell. Also check out my Patreon if you want exclusive content and chat with some like-minded crypto people. If you are brand new to crypto and Bitcoin, you want a crash course, check out my Teachable page. But otherwise, follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and also here on YouTube, and stay tuned for my future videos. And I do have a live stream tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right, guys, since there's so many people asking about XRP, I have to do this. I do have something to show you guys. Hopefully it helps you guys learn a little bit more about XRP and Ripple and Chris Larsen, most importantly. So take a look and have a good night.
What do you think about Ripple?
Well, I mean, I think it's too centralized, but I definitely want to meet Chris Larsen.